what's up, everyone? This is Emmanuel live at the NPEA Conference 2025 here in Philadelphia. I got a very special person sitting right next to me, dynamic individual. She's an author, curriculum developer, the whole 9 yards. And she also led a session today. So why don't you let everybody know who you are, the name of the session you led, and what brought you here today?
Hi everyone, my name is Juanita Banks Whittington. I am an Army veteran, social worker, children's book author, the founder of a nonprofit called Charlene Circle of Support, and a serial entrepreneur. So today's title was I Know I Matter, but Who Am I? So we went into the identity and intersectionality of youth from marginalized communities, and it was so dynamic. I had so many wonderful people joining in, just having a conversation with me about what are the things that they're doing when it comes to understanding who they are with their identity, as well as going into how they're relating to the youth that they're working with and different practices that they're using.
Wow, for the person out there who may not understand what all that means, can you just give like a little synopsis of what that looks like?
Yeah, so I believe in if you don't know who you are, how can you work with the youth? So going into understanding, hey, I may have had some trauma, or I may have biases or different things that make up who I am, then goes into how you show up with the youth that you are working with. So if you don't know who you are, again, you cannot work with youth to really dig deep so that you can understand who they are.
How does somebody go about knowing who they are? Like how would a practitioner even go about figuring that out?
Life experiences. One of the exercises that we did today was the identity wheel. So they were able to look at different aspects of their lives, whether it's their race, national origin, their sex, how they are they married, just different aspects of who they are, then goes into how they're able to relate to the youth that they work with.
Awesome. And then I seen, I Matter for Teens, and there's like a framework around that. Talk to us a little bit about what that is and how it's impacted the students you've worked with so far.
Yeah, so when me and my sister started Charlene Circle of Support, our nonprofit, our whole goal was to support vulnerable youth in Maryland whose parents are dealing with incarceration, substance abuse, and or mental health illness. So when she came to me, she wanted to do something with college students, but I felt like everybody's doing something with college students. I wanted to do something for the youth at that middle school or high school range. So I wrote the I Matter journal for teens, navigating this crazy world. So in our care package program, each care package has that journal. And from that, we were able to get into a middle school. So I have 6th grade boys, have a mentorship group. I love them. I have 7 of them. And we utilize the framework. So I'm talking about what mental health is. We're talking about SEL. We're talking about who they are as young men and building them up with the tools that make them see that they matter in every room that they're in, no matter what.
That is really beautiful. When you talk about, you mentioned SEL, that word just stuck out to me. What is SEL for those people that may not know? How can educators begin to apply SEL just as an entry level for those that don't know?
Yeah, so SEL is social emotional learning, and there's various tenets to that where you're talking about self-awareness, decision making, and there's more to it. But that framework is majority in all of the schools, but it's all about how the schools are actually implementing it. They may have different programs such as Second Step that they may use, but today in my session, we talked about how are the educators actually utilizing SEL for their own purposes, going through their day, and then going into the classroom. So if you don't understand how to utilize SEL yourself and apply it to your day-to-day, how can you go and talk to youth and try to get them to understand who they are again? So that was one of the things that we talked about today, as well as merging SEL with mental health. Mental health is the foundation of who we are. So without feeding, without making sure that we're doing what we need to do when it comes to our mental health, SEL, any emotional intelligence, any of those things are null and void. void.
Yeah, that's a fact. And in your, like you said, you mentioned this, the group of sixth graders. I remember talking yesterday. You mentioned them again yesterday. Do you have any like things that like stand out to you in terms of your learning from them? What are these kids talking about? What are they saying when it comes to these things? When it comes to mental health? When it comes to SEL?
Yeah, so a lot of the youth that I'm dealing with, so none of the young boys have fathers in their lives. So for me, it was extremely important that when I came into their lives, I made sure that I was present. I wasn't going in for just 1 month or just one time. So I show up every Friday with them. You know, we talk about their feelings. In the beginning, they were like, oh, Miss Juanita, we don't like to talk about our feelings. But now we've built a relationship to where they feel comfortable. We talk about sports. We do different games where they're able to relate their emotions to something that they love, which is football.
Very, very good. Any experience with anyone having anxiety around college, like going to college or anything like that?
Yeah, so with our program, we have the I Matter Kids program that we're standing up right now. And some of the young individuals that we have are getting ready to go to college. And some of them are definitely scared, but my sister, with her background in higher ed and financial aid, she's able to step in, talk to the parents about the pros and cons of not applying for FAFSA, even just understanding the schools that they want to go to and how much things really cost.
Right. And for the student out there, the parent that they're hearing these concepts and they're like, I'm on the fence, like, you know, we don't do that. We don't do talk about mental health. Well, do you have any words for them to encourage them, or like, don't be afraid, it's okay, like this will work out? Like, what do you have to say to that, something like that?
Yeah, so I have the I Matter for Teen Girls and Boys Journal. This journal is all about mental health. It has words of encouragement. It has activities. It has all of these great things in it that parents can go through with their youth and kind of get a better understanding of how they view things versus how the parent views things. And it opens up a good dialogue for them.
So have you been seeing like parents using it on themselves and then in turn using them with the students?
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot. So a lot of times I'll get maybe an elementary student or even middle school, going up into getting ready to go to middle school. They'll say, well, I think they're too young. And I said, no, they're not. They can actually use this material, not every day, but just something for conversation starters. I feel like a lot of time as parents, we don't really understand what our youth are going through. And that goes back to my session today. If you don't know who you are, how can you lead? How can you work with youth? Whether you're an educator, a parent, any of those things, but you have to listen to understand. What they have going on is totally different than what we have going on.
That's a fact.
And of course, just not projecting. So let's say you're having a certain experience, and with that experience, now you're going to that child and you're like, well, I had this experience, so that's going to be the experience for you. That's not what's going to happen for the youth. So just being more mindful of projection, because projection will destroy children's dreams.
Yeah, that's
when I
a
tell
fact.
you, it will.
That's a fact. We were talking about this yesterday, the whole thing with the projection, and it kind of brings me to a question in terms of being like trauma informed and understanding like how your trauma might show up when you're, for an educator out there or even a parent. What are some like gems you can give them in terms of addressing that?
Well, so again, today we talked all about identity. We utilized the identity wheel. So that identity wheel allowed the educators to sit down, reflect, think about what they have going on in different categories of their lives, and then thinking about how does that relate to different youth, whether it's youth that they may work with or even their own child. So things like that, things like the emotion wheel, those are all things that parents, educators can utilize to really show, okay, I'm getting deep to who I am. Now I can show up with this child and I'm not projecting, because now I know when I was younger, I was so upset about something that may have happened, which is trauma.
Yeah.
Now I'm aware of it. Now I can address it. So when I show up to this room, that's not what my focus is. My focus is to leave all of that there, find my own therapist or friend, talk to them about what I have going on so that I can show up and be the best mentor, best parent that I can for the youth that I serve.
God, it makes a lot of sense. Like taking care of yourself first before you show up. Sharif Al-Mekki was talking about that yesterday. Seems like that's been a theme for a lot of black practitioners, just talking about, listen, you gotta take care of home base first before you go out and reach out to the youth. I see you brought some gifts with you. Just tell us more about these books.
Yeah. So I've been talking about the I Matter book. So I have I Matter for teen girls here, and I have the I Matter for teen boys. Same content, but again, it's something so the youth can feel like they matter. I didn't want to have one book for just one person because boys and girls are different.
Right.
They want to see something that looks and shows who they are.
Right.
I also have one of my other books, which is called I Love My Daddy. It was my first children's book, and it is all about positive relationships. It's the relationship that my husband and my daughter have together. So that was my first children's book.
That is awesome. Where can people find these books, learn more about your platform and how they can get plugged into that?
Yeah, so for the books, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so they can find the books on Amazon, but go to my website first, diversecbm.com, and then if you want to learn a little bit more about me as a whole when it comes to identity and wellness for youth, you can go to nehicares.com, NEHICares.com.
Good. And are there any practical daily exercises educators can use to help students develop some of these things? I know you mentioned the emotional world, but anything else you might have, the gems you could share for free?
Yeah, I have some gems. Look, I have all types of gems in this book. So one of the gems that I have is a self-care toolkit. So in the journal, you can write all of the things that you want to do when it comes to self-care. We have questions based around that. We also have a mindfulness jar. What about having positive statements about ourselves? We talk about affirmations. We talk about how we view ourselves. So when I tell you, even boundaries, what does boundaries look like? One of my favorite activities in here is setting boundaries. What does boundaries sound like?
Wow.
Look, these are the gems that I have in the book, right? These are the gems.
You're a little close. Can you back up? You heard that? You a little close. Can you back up?
I don't like to be called that name. No, it's okay to say no,
feeling
right?
empowered to speak up for yourself.
Exactly. I don't like this conversation. I feel like as adults and even youth, these are the things that need to be in our vocabulary. So those are gems that I feel like I put in this book so that practitioners, educators, parents, anybody can pick this up and go through it with their youth and feel like, man, I'm definitely understanding who I am.
Yeah, I like this too. It seems self-guided too. Like a student can pick it up and say, hey, I want to go through some of these prompts on my own. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all basic stuff that we learn as practitioners for social workers, being in mental health. So when I created this, I wanted, again, to provide something to the youth where they could go to and they knew that they mattered. That's one of the things I feel that we don't really understand, nor we say and raise our head high and put our shoulders back and say, I matter in every room that I'm in, no matter what.
It's such a good mantra and an affirmation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you said, sometimes it feels like you don't, especially as a student, when you have these adults that it seems like they're so important. You know what I mean? You're in a classroom, you're like, I'm just a student, but no, you really matter too. Like you're just as much as a human being as this practitioner giving you the study or giving you the lessons. I think that's really, really powerful, and want to make sure that we continue to lift up this kind of work and applaud you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
But we're gonna get to some little more lighthearted questions, all right? All right. First and foremost, what college did you go to?
So for graduate school, I went to University of Maryland, Baltimore, and Baltimore City for social work.
All right. And what was your major?
So mental health, clinical mental health. And when I tell you I enjoyed it, it definitely was a challenge, but it was needed.
Got you. And I think it kind of goes without saying, but just for the audience, why did you choose that major? Like, what led you there?
So I feel like I've always been a helper. Growing up, my mom used drugs. My mother was diagnosed as being bipolar when she was 45 years old. So for me, I wanted to be in a place where, in the understanding where I can be able to help people like her and be able to help other families really understand the why and have resources. That was my biggest thing.
Wow, very powerful. What was your favorite college memory?
So one of my favorite college memories was I went to the Philippines for 2 weeks. And it was social workers, nurses, pharmacy students from University of Maryland. And we were there and we really got to understand who the people are in the Philippines. We were able to see what issues they're dealing with now, which is totally different than the issues that we deal with here in the United States. So that was awesome, and I really enjoyed that. It's a lot of culture.
If you could say one thing to your high school self, what would that be?
You matter. You matter in every room that you're in. You matter. You don't have to worry about people that may not be your friend tomorrow. But just work on you, work on yourself, work on being the best person that you can be. And remember, you matter in every room that you enter.
I mean, what more can you say? That's it. That's what it is. That's what it is. Thank you so much. This is dope. Appreciate you.
Thank